Haunting of Everwood Manor. In the heart of a dense, dark forest, stood the imposing Everwood Manor. Once a grand estate, it had long been abandoned and left to the whims of time and nature. The villagers in the nearby town of Blackwood whispered tales of eerie happenings and ghostly apparitions, warning everyone to steer clear of the forsaken place. Despite the warnings, a group of curious friends, drawn by the thrill of adventure, decided to spend a night at the infamous manor. The group consisted of 5 friends: Emily, John, Sarah, Michael, and Lucy. Each of them had heard different versions of the haunting tales, but none truly believed them. On a chilly autumn evening, they packed their bags with supplies and set off on a journey to Everwood Manor. As they approached the manor, the sun began to set, casting long shadows that seemed to dance ominously around the decrepit building. The air grew colder, and an unsettling silence fell upon the forest. The manor's towering structure loomed ahead, its broken windows and ivy-covered walls giving it a sinister appearance. "Are we really doing this?" Emily asked, her voice trembling slightly. "Come on, it's just an old house," John replied, trying to sound confident. They pushed open the creaking front door, which groaned in protest, and stepped into the dimly lit foyer. The air inside was heavy with dust and the smell of decay. Cobwebs hung from the ceiling like delicate lace, and the wooden floorboards creaked under their weight. "Let's set up camp in the main hall," Sarah suggested, pointing to a spacious room just ahead. They laid out their sleeping bags and gathered around a flickering lantern. The room was adorned with faded portraits of stern-looking ancestors whose eyes seemed to follow their every move. The friends tried to laugh off their unease, but an undeniable sense of dread hung in the air. As the night deepened, the wind howled through the broken windows, creating an eerie symphony that seemed to echo through the halls. The friends took turns sharing ghost stories, each one more chilling than the last. But as the hour grew late, they decided it was time to get some rest. Suddenly, a loud bang echoed through the manor, startling everyone. "What was that?" Lucy whispered, her eyes wide with fear. "It's probably just the wind," Michael said, trying to reassure her, though he didn't sound convinced. Then, they heard it again, an unmistakable sound of footsteps echoing down the hallway. The friends exchanged nervous glances, their hearts pounding in their chests. "I'll go check it out," John said, grabbing the lantern and heading towards the sound. The others followed closely behind, their footsteps echoing in the empty hallways. The manor seemed to stretch on forever, with endless corridors and countless rooms. As they walked, the air grew colder, and a thick fog began to creep in, obscuring their vision. "John, wait up!" Emily called, but her voice seemed to be swallowed by the fog. They finally reached a grand staircase that spiraled upward into darkness. The footsteps seemed to be coming from above. Taking a deep breath, they ascended the stairs, each step creaking ominously beneath their feet. At the top of the stairs, they found themselves in a long, dimly lit hallway lined with closed doors. The footsteps had stopped, but the silence was even more unnerving. "Which way?" Sarah whispered. John pointed to a door at the end of the hallway. "I think it came from there." They cautiously approached the door and pushed it open. Inside was a large, dusty room filled with old furniture covered in white sheets. The air was thick with the smell of mold and decay. As they stepped inside, the door slammed shut behind them, and the temperature dropped even further. A chilling presence filled the room, and the friends could feel eyes watching them from the shadows. "Who's there?" Michael called out, his voice shaking. A faint whisper filled the air, barely audible but undeniably there. It seemed to be coming from the far corner of the room. The friends huddled together, their eyes wide with fear. Suddenly, the sheets began to move, as if an invisible hand was lifting them. One by one, the furniture was revealed, and in the corner stood an old, ornate mirror. The surface of the mirror was cracked and covered in dust, but as they approached, an image began to form. They saw a woman, dressed in a tattered, old-fashioned gown, her eyes hollow and filled with sorrow. She raised a bony finger and pointed directly at them. The friends gasped and stepped back, but they couldn't look away. "Help me," the woman's voice echoed in their minds, though her lips didn't move. "Release me from this torment." The room grew darker, and the woman's image faded, replaced by a swirling mist. The friends felt a sudden pull, as if they were being drawn into the mirror. Panic set in, and they tried to resist, but the force was too strong. In an instant, they found themselves standing in a different place, a shadowy world that mirrored the manor but was twisted and distorted. The air was thick with a sense of dread, and ghostly figures roamed the halls, their faces contorted in anguish. "We need to find a way out," John said, his voice barely above a whisper. They wandered through the dark corridors, each turn leading them deeper into the nightmare. The ghostly figures seemed to be drawn to them, their eyes filled with longing and despair. The friends could hear faint whispers and cries for help, but they couldn't understand the words. As they explored, they discovered a hidden chamber, its walls covered in ancient symbols and dark, arcane writings. In the center of the room stood an altar, upon which lay an old, leather-bound book. The book seemed to pulse with a dark energy, and the air around it crackled with power. "This must be the source of the curse," Sarah said, her voice trembling. John opened the book, and as he read the words aloud, a powerful force seemed to awaken. The ground shook, and the walls of the chamber began to close in around them. The friends realized they had to act quickly. "We need to break the curse," Emily said, her voice filled with determination. "We have to finish the ritual." Following the instructions in the book, they performed the ritual, their voices echoing through the chamber. As they spoke the final words, a blinding light filled the room, and the ghostly figures around them began to fade. The ground stopped shaking, and the air grew still. The friends found themselves back in the dusty room of Everwood Manor, the mirror now shattered into pieces. The sense of dread had lifted, and the oppressive presence was gone. "We did it," Lucy said, her voice filled with relief. They made their way back to the main hall, the first rays of dawn breaking through the windows. As they stepped outside, they felt a sense of peace and accomplishment. The curse of Everwood Manor had been broken, and the spirits trapped within had been set free. The friends returned to the village, forever changed by their experience. They had faced their fears and emerged victorious, but the memories of that night would stay with them forever. The story of their adventure spread through the town, becoming a legend that would be told for generations to come. And though Everwood Manor still stood, its walls now echoed with silence rather than sorrow. The spirits had found their rest, and the manor was no longer a place of fear but a testament to the bravery and friendship of those who had dared to face the unknown.